The nightmare scenario occurs for the Timberwolves on the final day of the regular season as they lose at home 125-106 against the Phoenix Suns, who they will now play in the playoffs, Suns being the 6th seed, us being the 3 seed. And if you want to rank the top 5 worst, most miserable, hard-to-watch Timberwolves losses of this season, all 3 of our games against the Phoenix Suns would be included in that. And this one especially. They've kind of got worse each iterative one as well. We have lost our first 2 matchups in Phoenix against the Suns, and then this one today in Target Center in the most important game of the season. And it was a seriously ugly one. And I say it's the nightmare scenario because this is the team that the Wolves have looked the worst against all year long. They're the only team that has really just terrorized us all the way through. We have put together 0 stretches of good basketball against them, and this being one of the most important games of the year, critical for seeding differences, and we absolutely don't show up on our own home court from the jump. And I'll talk about that, and I want to get a little bit into some appreciation for what this regular season was as well, and not have it be an ultimate downer. Because coming into the year, if you thought we were finishing as the 3 seed, that's pretty great. And it has been a really good year. And a lot of times where things are different. And I don't want to lose sight of that. But at the same time, I'm the least optimistic I've been about our playoff hopes and ability to advance than I've been since very early on in this year. And I also want to mention that doesn't mean that we are hopeless and that like the Suns are going to win in the first round for sure. And things change extremely fast in the NBA. Things change in the playoffs. But it is also true typically in the NBA with playoffs basketball. The team with the best player wins the series most of the time. They've got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. So we have the 3rd and 5th best player in that series. I can't make the argument that Ant's better than KD or Devin Booker right now. They've got a championship coach. They've got championship experience. We have put together just nothing against them. So there's no evidence of us this year that we can do anything to them. We've looked like a completely different basketball team. You can pull from what we've been in this season and what we have on paper, but you can't pull anything that makes you feel good about our matchups from the Suns, and they've got all-time greats on their squad. So it will be a genuinely impressive win if we can get through a series against the Suns, and our reward would be likely the Denver Nuggets in the second round. So our hopes and aspirations for doing things in the playoffs look pretty shredded. Let's talk about what happened in this game. I'll catch you up on that. From the rip, it was despicable play from the Wolves. 20 points scored by the Suns before our first stop. They double us up and score at the end of the first quarter, 44-22. We have 11 turnovers in that time for 17 points. Average almost a turnover a minute for nearly an entire first half. We had 19 turnovers for 26 Phoenix Suns points in the first half. We shot 65% in the first half, and you felt fortunate to be down 13 points. Now, was that fantastic Phoenix Suns defense? I don't even fucking think so. We were just giving the ball away. Sloppiness. It's like we were off beat throughout this game. And it was across the board. Like Anthony Edwards on his drives, just losing the ball. Everyone was kind of just losing the ball, dribbling, just really lackadaisical, sloppy play. We had butterfingers throughout the game. And then a lot of situations where we're just passing the ball where in spots where we wouldn't all year. That kind of happened in a really early possession with Ant where he's driving, gets into a pump fake scenario, or that he's pivoting, pump fakes, get his defender to bite, has an open look at the rim, and then a really awkward, sharp pass to Rudy that is mishandled for a turnover. There's stuff like that over and over. And Karl Anthony Towns, his second return, or second game back, I want to commend him real quickly for his perimeter defense. I thought it was really nice, especially possessions he had on KD. Got really good contests on his jump shots. And now let me shred into him. 3 fucking offensive fouls again this game. Doing the same shit that he's been getting called for his entire career and still being shocked at it happening. I'm so exhausted with it. 10 points, 5 turnovers. His jumper has not looked good in these 2 games he's been back. I think he's got 2 total threes on how many attempts? Probably 10. Also, speaking of 10 attempts, we don't have a single player attempt more than 10 field goals in that game. I can't even remember the last time I've seen that. Because we were turning the ball over so much. Final standing on that throughout the game, by the way. 24 turnovers for 35 Phoenix points. So we'd only have 5 second-half turnovers, but they would score, 11 points off of those? 9. I think 9 is the correct number. So we just get brutally penalized when we turn over the ball, and you've seen that a lot in our bad losses and our losses to good teams. It's that giant disparity turning the ball over. And we even had the adults show up in this game. Like Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, they were brilliant. Conley especially, giving us big-time scoring punch when we needed it. 4 out of 5 shooting threes. I thought his first half was especially big. Couple blocks in that first half too. Getting some big defensive stops where we just could not early. Also, Rudy Gobert, he was really big, both literally and metaphorically. In the third quarter especially, I think he had either 13 or 15 points in that quarter. And the Suns just looked so comfortable and composed throughout that game. Even when we forced them into some tough shots or there's broken plays, it seemed like they scored out of those over and over. They'd been there before. They were unbothered. Whereas the Timberwolves are running around with their heads cut off, just chucking the ball out of bounds. Oh, that was hard to watch. That was infuriating. Like, you gotta... I've loved how this season has gone. Even though we've had kind of uneven play, it feels like game to game to game, and come out on top over and over. Against the Suns, we've just had nothing. And I don't want to get too over-carried away with that, but I am filled with that familiar Timberwolves dread. And it's hard to think that we're not dropping in the first round. And not that like it would have been a easy matchup versus any of these other teams, but it's really disappointing that the Wolves, for 3 straight seasons, are going to finish in a seed lower than where they've spent a lot of the year and lower than they were in the final couple days or final week of the regular season, and then they drop 1 to 3 spots. We're just setting ourselves up for these insanely difficult routes in the playoffs where we've just got to play teams that you shouldn't be seeing for how good a year you've had. And our quality of play has not elevated in the playoffs. As amazing of a coach as Chris Finch has been, that is not something we've seen good results from yet. And hopefully, I truthfully want to be proved wrong here. I totally believe in Anthony Edwards. This defense has been there all year long, and we have been a team that has recovered from some ugly moments throughout this season. Where us and Boston are the only 2 teams that have not had a 3-game losing streak throughout this season. It's been a different year in the regular season. I really hope that continues to the postseason, and it will be impressive if that's the case. And I just hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong all year long. So keep it up, Timberwolves. Keep it up. That sucked. I hope it turns around. There's nothing showing us it will. That doesn't mean it won't. Peace out.